everyone. Welcome to the Women of Distinction ceremony. I'm Heidi McPherson, CEO of the Community Foundation, and I'm honored to welcome you to this important celebration of women leaders in our county. Today, we recognize contributions that women have made in the areas of volunteering in the community, their profession, and philanthropy. They will join with over 150 remarkable women, some of whom are with us today, who have been recognized over the years as outstanding women of distinction. In these challenging times, it is so important, to recognize the women that we honor today and all the women and the men who are with us today and who are with us in our lives, who raise us up and make our community stronger and more resilient. March is, of course, Women's History Month, a perfect time for our Women of Distinction event. And although Congress didn't declare March to be Women's History Month until who knows when? 1987, right? We all remember 1987. Cuesta College and the Community Foundation were already well on their way before that to providing and recognizing women leadership and the importance of women in our communities. In the mid-1970s, Cuesta College held a women's conference, an all-day event to promote women as leaders and to understand the role of women in history. Barbara is going to tell you a little bit more about the remarkable history of actually this event. But a wonderful thing was happening at the same time over at the Community Foundation. We established the Women's Legacy Fund, which is the only endowed grant fund dedicated to supporting programs for women and girls in this county. Now with a permanent endowment of over $1.4 million. I know! This fund at the foundation has awarded almost $300,000 in grants to nonprofits across the county to support women and girls, another example of true leadership. $300,000. So this brings us to today, when we will recognize outstanding women in 4 categories: community and public service, professional; community and public service, volunteer; progress for women; and the Grace N. Mitchell Lifetime Achievement. And on behalf of the Community Foundation, since I'm not going to come back up again, I wanted to say congratulations to all of the winners on behalf of the Community Foundation and the Women's Legacy Fund. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our MC for today, a special friend to Cuesta College and the Community Foundation and Women's Legacy Fund, and known across the county for her many leadership accomplishments. Barbara is in fact a Women of Distinction honoree herself, having received the very first Women in Philanthropy Award in 2005, after which they named the award for her. I mean, that's pretty impressive, quite an honor. We're fortunate to have Barbara with us today to host our Women of Distinction Awards ceremony. Please welcome me and join me in welcoming Barbara George.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Cuesta College President and Superintendent Dr. Gil Stork, and on behalf of the Cuesta College Board of Trustees, I welcome you today. And thank you, Heidi, for that lovely introduction. You know, I am amazed to realize that you have been at the helm of the Community Foundation for just 4 years. Because of your achievements and the growth of the foundation have been absolutely transformational, phenomenal. Thank you, Heidi. We are fortunate to have your leadership. In fact, Heidi is 4 years. I would have said 10, and I knew when she came. But it is people like you who bring us here today for this celebration of women. Strong women, women of courage, women of achievement, women who have made a difference in every walk of life. Women like Grace, who creates programs for the chronically homeless, or Anita, whose volunteerism sets the standard for the rest of us to follow. and for Betsy, who has impacted thousands of people and who ensures opportunity for women, and for Phyllis, whose life is dedicated to education, peace, and mitigating global hunger. But we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. There was no National Women's History Month in the 70s. When a group of Cuesta women led by Vivian Cullen started WINGS, that stood for Women in New Goals. Against some odds, and quite a little bit of snickering, they began the first women's conference in San Luis Obispo County. And every year they brought together hundreds of women for workshops and lectures. This was about the same time that the Board of Supervisors created and appointed the first Commission on the Status of Women. The Cuesta Women's Conference evolved into the addition of an award for the Woman of the Year, and it was first awarded to Arlene Chandler. She was the first woman to serve as a department chair at Cuesta College. Now, Arlene was a woman of great innovation and vision, and a woman who clearly saw and understood some of the unmet needs of women, and she worked quietly and effectively for change. Ann Havlick and Marilee Hyman, co-presidents of the League of Women Voters, recently wrote in a letter to the editor that this year, more than ever, women are in the forefront of political activism and social change. From the 420 women who are currently running for the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, to the Women's March, to the Me Too movement, women are leading the way for social justice, and they are making history. San Luis Obispo Police Chief Deanna Cantrell recently spoke at the Commission on the Status of Women luncheon this month, and she talked about our intentional influence. We have much to do, so let's go out there and have some intentional influence like the 4 women we honor today. Before we begin, I will recognize our elected officials who have taken the time to be here to honor these 4 women today. But I do ask that you hold your applause, and as I call your name, if you would please stay standing until all are introduced. Cuesta College Trustee Mary Strobridge, District 2 Supervisor Bruce Gibson, San Luis Obispo Mayor Heidi Harmon, and San Luis Obispo City Council Carlin Christensen. Thank you for being here. Members of the Community Foundation and President Mary Verdon. Mary, President. Thank you. Co-sponsors of this event, the Women's Legacy Fund and Chair Sharon Becko. Women's Legacy Fund member and Chair Sharon. Thank you to Annie Agui. I knew I wouldn't be able to do that. Sorry. Again, thank you for being here, representing Senator Bill Monning and Kyla Smith for Assemblyman Cunningham and Vicki Jansen for Supervisor Peschon. We appreciate it. This is a joyous celebration, so let's begin. The honorees today were nominated by their peers and chosen by a selection committee of people from the Women's Legacy Fund and Cuesta College. The first award is given to a woman who has, by virtue of her profession, distinguished herself by providing outstanding professional service to the community. Grace McIntosh will be introduced by Biz Steinberg, CEO of Community Action Partnership of San Luis Obispo. Does this look like Biz Steinberg to you? Thank you, Aaron. Aaron McCall, Women's Legacy Fund. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dee Lacey, our Council Board President. President and I are in DC today representing Community Action, and consequently we are absent in person from the 41st Women of Distinction Award ceremony at Cuesta College. It is really my honor to introduce to all of you Grace McIntosh, Deputy Director at CAPSLO, who is receiving the Woman of Distinction Award in the category of Community and Public Service Professional. I decided to nominate Grace for this award this year for a few reasons. She is such a hard worker, organized, innovative, committed to making life better for those we serve at CAPSLO. Her personal experiences have prepared her to think outside the box, push the envelope, find the best solutions, which she has done successfully. Grace, you have stamina, and Grace, you don't give up. Let me share some information with all of you about my nominee. Grace McIntosh has been Deputy Director at CAPSLO since 2009. She has over 30 years of leadership experience in the nonprofit sector, including serving as CEO at our local American Red Cross. She is a field instructor for the Masters in Social Work program at USC. She has earned her master's degrees in social work and public administration. Grace oversees 6 CAPSLO divisions that operate 18 programs. She was instrumental in establishing the myriad of wraparound programs that will be offered at 40 Prado for San Luis Obispo County's homeless population, including ones that she created, such as recuperative care and the Slow Hub, which I will define a little bit later. Grace's contribution to the Homeless Services Oversight Council, the Adult Services Oversight Council, Interfaith Coalition for the Homeless, and the Emergency Food and Shelter Board that she serves on is one of passion, advocacy, and action. She is always working towards finding solutions. The National Community Action Partnership offers certification programs that implement the results-oriented management and accountability approach to providing social services. Grace became a Pathways to Excellence peer reviewer as well as certified community action professional as part of her commitment to excellence in community action. She led our agency as our team captain in achieving the Award for Excellence, part of the partnership's organizational capacity building initiative. Agencies must achieve 35 standards of excellence, best practice in leadership and governance, strategic planning, client, partner, stakeholder focus, measurement, analysis, and performance management, human resources, organizational process, and most importantly, organizational results. Only 10 of our 1,100 community action agencies nationwide have received this award. In partnership with community agencies, volunteers, grassroots organizations, Grace was instrumental in making the following occur and happen. In the future, providing 40 Prado with comprehensive services for 1,400 individuals and families planned in the year 2019 to 20, the development of a recuperative care program, case management for medically fragile individuals who are released from hospitals to reduce ER visits and repeat hospitalizations. This in partnership with our local hospitals and CenCal. Thank you so much. Creation of the Slow Hub. This is another partnership in collaboration with Transitions Mental Health Association, a treatment case management program to support housing, recovery, employment, and education for 130 chronically homeless individuals with co-occurring mental health and substance abuse disorders. Finally, persistent advocacy for a residential detox center in San Luis Obispo County for adults struggling with addiction to be located on the premises in a separate facility at 40 Prado. This will come in the future with the commitment of local donors and our county government. Thank you for your support on that, everyone. The last part here, Grace, thank you for helping people and changing lives. And thank you for living community action. I appreciate having you on the CAPSLO team. Thank you for being innovative, having such drive and initiative to really make things happen. And thank you for your dedication and commitment to community action. Cheers from D&I here in Washington, D.C., and from your co-workers, board members, and all of our community partners who are there with you today to celebrate. Congratulations. I want to also congratulate our colleagues this afternoon, Betsy, Phyllis, and Anita. Our paths have crisscrossed for years as well. A final congratulations to all of you, the women of distinction in 2018. Thank you.
Selection committee, and of course Liz for this award. She really surprised me with this one, and I really wish she were here, but she's here in spirit. The accomplishments that Biz talked about were really a result of so many people that came together to work towards the shared goals of 40 Prado, which is really amazing and will be open by the end of July. I would be terribly remiss if I didn't just take a moment or two to recognize some of those people without whose support it just simply would not have happened. So indulge me. First and foremost, of course, is that lady, Biz, who supports and encourages all of us at Capslo to share her passion for children, families, and our community. We would not be Capslo without Biz. John Spatafor, Roy Rawlings, the co-chairs for the Homeless Foundation of SLO County and the Friends of 40 Prado. What a group. What they have accomplished in such a short amount of time truly has taken my breath away, and it's amazing. My partner in crime over there, Jim Familette, who has been our captain on the design, the construction, the building of this incredible 40 Prado building. He's worked tirelessly with city, county, community partners to help make this dream a reality. Couldn't do it without you, man. Molly Wayne Hughes, whose leadership in calling upon our community to support this worthwhile cause has helped us in achieving our goal so very quickly. Teresa Scott, my friend, who has been instrumental in the vision of recuperative care, very unique and innovative program, having a place for the frail homeless to safely recuperate. She made that happen. Marcy Spurlow, my friend, who shares her experience, strength, and hope with me every day. I've drawn throughout it since we both started on the same day in 2009. I am grateful to the staff, our board of directors, some of whom are here. Thank you so much for coming. My coworkers at Capslo, especially the homeless services staff, especially to Sean Eisen, who's on a much-deserved vacation right now, who give of themselves tremendously every day. They are the ones in the trenches. Their caring commitment and dedication is truly an inspiration to me, and I am so proud of what they do. Last, I want to thank the two most important people in my life. My husband, Michael, who has the patience of a saint these last few years, who hears beyond what I may just be verbalizing, who challenges me and who keeps me grounded. And then my son, Michael, who, even though he is not able to be here, has inspired me with his courage as he went through his journey from addiction and homelessness to living a true life of purpose now, one day at a time. All of the people we serve at Capslo, are someone's Michael. And the staff have heard me say this all the time, but they are someone's son or daughter or brother or sister or friend. And we can never, as a community, forget that, and we don't. People who come into this world that have promise and hope and find themselves struggling and wanting to get out. And it is so important we don't forget them. I am so grateful to be working in a profession, in an employment opportunity, in an organization, and mostly in a community where we do feel a sense of mutual responsibility to work towards making our community a better place to live. We are making a difference, and I'm so proud of us. Thank you again, and I'm also congratulating my other fellow women award recipients. Thank you.
Our next honor goes to a woman who has distinguished herself as a volunteer by providing outstanding service to the community. To introduce the award for community and public service, please welcome Robert Roberts.
Liz got off there a little easy. She got to record hers to stand up here in front of all you. Hello, my name is Robert, and I'm Anita Shower's husband. I nominated Anita for Women of Distinction Award in Public and Volunteer Service. When I first met Anita in 2009, I asked her, "What do you do for fun besides line dancing?" Her reply was, "I do community service." My reply was, "Well, so do I." Of course, it was court mandated, but that's another story. To that, Anita replied, "Okay, let's see if you can keep up." So, after 2 weeks of following her around, watching her serve coffee at the Grover Beach Grange, volunteered with the Grover Beach Chamber of Commerce, volunteered at the community events, teach an etiquette course to children through Grover Beach Recreation Department, serve on the Tascadero Zoo Board, volunteered through the Grover Beach Rotary Club as a member of the club's historian, and work school events. I asked Anita, "Do you ever sleep?" Her reply was, "I'm not finished yet." This woman is a whirlwind, let me tell you. She never stops. Her mantra, "There is always something to do." With all that Anita does, she still doesn't feel that she's accomplished anything great. To others, the following may be accomplishments. Newspaper column in the 5 Cities Times Press recorder for 11 years with her Miss Etiquette column. Regular guest on Dave Congleton's 9:20 a.m. KPEC radio show as Miss Etiquette beginning in 1992. In studio, weekly guest on Rick Martell's Rick at Night that had run for 21 years. Chartered the 4th Eco Club in the world with an emphasis on being good stewards of the earth. Rotary Club of Pismo Beach 5 Cities President 2004-2005. Founded and is president of the Eco Club 5 Cities, which is a green 501c3 nonprofit. Wrote the history book, Images of America, Grover Beach. Co-authored 2 etiquette books, The Power of Civility and Socially Smart and Savvy. Accepted an appointment by Supervisor Adam Hill to the San Luis Obispo Commission on Aging. Volunteers as the Pismo Chamber of Commerce as board member and secretary. On-air radio host for a weekly Pismo Beach Today show, member and president-elect of Central Coast Exchange Club. Board President, Senior Nutrition Program, Meals to Connect, supporter of Aurora Grande Public Art Program, served on the Grover Beach Tang Committee, Traffic and Noise Group, Bachelor of Science, Liberal Studies with a double minor in Business and Gender Studies, Eastern Oregon University, 2013. She has a master's degree, Liberal Studies with a concentration on the environment, Arizona State University, 2016. She's in a doctoral Grand Canyon University program, 2016, Doctor of Education in, organizational leadership and an emphasis on healthcare administration, member of the Grover City Grange, volunteer for over 30 years serving coffee at the breakfast every month, volunteer 5-city homeless coalition, zero waste community events within the 5 cities in San Luis Obispo. That's just a few things she does. When Anita received her Bachelor of Science degree, I asked her, hey, babe, can we go on a vacation? That's a lot of work. And her answer was, there's still so much more to do. As she quickly enrolled in a master's program at Arizona State University. And these were added to her volunteer services. The YMCA South County Advisory Board member, SLO County Sheriff's Foundation member, board member, Senior Nutrition Program, Meals to Connect. When Anita graduated from Arizona State with her master's degree, I asked if we could now go on a vacation. Anita's answer was no, there's still much to do. As she quickly enrolled in a doctoral program with the Grand Canyon University. And these were added to her volunteer duties. Member Parking Advisory Commission, City of Pismo Beach. Upcoming presenter of the Manners 101 course with Pismo Beach Recreation Department. She was also the 2016 Pismo Beach Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year. In between all this service, Anita volunteers to teach etiquette to children and adults and to many of the sororities at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, to various chambers of commerce, and is a presenter at various service clubs and hospitals. And yet, Anita will still say that she has not accomplished anything great. Anita is very fond of John D. Rockefeller as she follows in his footsteps. As a child, Mr. Rockefeller was able to place 2 pennies into the church offering plate while others could not. Soon he was able to place a nickel in the offering plate while others still could not. He always felt a responsibility to mankind. Anita Shower feels the same way. Only her embrace, as many of you know, reaches around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present my lovely wife, Anita Shower.
Good afternoon, all you lovely people. Thank you for being here. We all thank you for coming out in this weather and supporting this terrific honor, because women who stick together are oh so powerful, and we all know that. May I say that I'm in great company with distinguished women who have come before me, and I keep these women close and in the center of my heart. The Honorable Teresa Estrada Mulaney, Supervisor Ruth Brackett, Mayor Shelley Higginbotham, Dee Torres, Nan Fowler, Janice Fong-Wolf, Jana Nichols, Mila Labar, Lisa Ray, Judith Bean, and Marilee Hyman. I want to thank you very much, and I want to thank my gorgeous husband, Robert, who is my friend and my companion, and certainly my partner in life. He makes really all of this possible. He has to take care of the dogs.
One moment, please. Thank you. Thanks very much.
There's so much to do. Thank you. Our Progress for Women Award. This award is given to a woman whose commitment to a particular program or issue of special relevance to women has helped improve the life of all women. And this award will be, I don't know who's presenting the award. Forgive me. Progress for Women is being presented to Betsy Umhofer. Whitney, will you come forward and do the introductions? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored and delighted to be here to share a bit about Betsy. Those of you who know her, which is 99% of this room, know that she doesn't like attention. So after I heard that she was going to be awarded this, I first checked in and said, "Are you mad that I nominated you?" And secondly said, "You know how hard it is to nominate someone who doesn't talk about their accomplishments?" Betsy grew up in Ohio as the oldest of 10 children, and I think that really set the stage for the kind and caring woman that she would become. She came to SLO with her husband and 3 young children in 1978, and having just completed her master's degree, began teaching communications at Cal Poly, where she was there for 19 years. She then joined the staff of Congressman Walter Capps in 1997 and worked for Walter and Congresswoman Lois Capps for nearly 20 years. She was the longest serving staff member. Betsy worked for JFK's presidential campaign and as a staff member for RFK's presidential campaign. She was a spokeswoman for Mothers for Peace in SLO, and she was appointed to the State Citizen Advisory Committee on Emergency Planning for Nuclear Power Plants. She spent nearly 2 decades in public service as a district representative for Congresswoman Lois Capps until her retirement in January of 2017. Of all the people that Betsy met in her time serving in the congressional office, none impressed her more than 2 brave young women who came to Cal Poly to study from Kabul, Afghanistan. Initially, Betsy was contacted at the Capps office to assist with obtaining student visas for the 2 19-year-old students. Both women dreamed of developing skills that would permit them to help rebuild their native country. Both came from families affected by the decades of turmoil in their country. The chance for the 2 students to come to the U.S. was an extension of Cal Poly Professor Zulfikar's work to help rebuild the Kabul University and enable women to return to higher education. Professor Zulfikar recognized the girls had strong academic potential in her summer teachings in Afghanistan, but their families had no means to send them to college, and Kabul had no space or financial assistance to offer them. The combination of public and private funding and community support was arranged, and the 2 students arrived in SLO in 2006. They studied at the Central Coast Language Academy, Cuesta College, and Cal Poly, and graduated from Cal Poly in 2010, a remarkable achievement. Upon graduation, one of the women returned to Afghanistan and went to work for USAID, where she served as the Central Regional Coordinator. She traveled all around Afghanistan to help women business owners obtain access to credit to expand their business. Her work and tenacity amidst many challenges was nothing short of amazing. She was even the subject of a BBC report in the summer of 2013 about Afghan women who chose to drive themselves, an incredibly powerful expression of a woman's empowerment in that region. Unfortunately, life in Afghanistan became untenable, and she received numerous death threats due to her work and was nearly killed. One of her colleagues in USAID was murdered. Along with congressional staff, Betsy worked to help this courageous woman obtain asylum. That one woman now works for USAID in Washington, D.C. The other woman, a mother of 3, is here now. Betsy is the most caring person. It is a normal, everyday occurrence to have people stop Betsy and share their problems with her. And she is always willing to sit down and to listen. She's incredibly thoughtful, kind, and empathetic. Betsy is the type of friend that everyone wants. The wife my husband wishes I could be, and the mother I aspire to. Congratulations.
Thank you, Whitney, and to the committees who worked on this event. I'm usually the one bestowing recognition in my past life, so this is a decided shift for me. Nonetheless, I feel privileged to be one of the women recognized during National Women's History Month, whose theme, as I understand it this year, is Nevertheless, She Persisted. My grandfather, Frank Wise, is the reason I was drawn to public service. When I was quite young, my mother, brother, and sister and I lived with my grandparents for a few months when my dad was transferred from Boston to Cincinnati. And while we stayed there, the phone rang a lot, a whole lot, especially in the middle of the night. And I asked my mother why my grandpa got so many phone calls. And she said that some of these people were his clients. He was an attorney. And some were just people who had problems. Your grandfather, she said, is a very good problem solver. He took me with him to vote, and he took me to the racetrack. But that's a story for another day. I loved to be with him whenever we visited, and I came to learn later that he had been the city attorney, probably where his public service interest began, and he had once run for Congress. He was fairly politically involved. I worked on a number of campaigns growing up, including JFK's and Robert F. Kennedy's brief presidential campaign. And later, after my husband and 3 young children and I moved to San Luis, several years later really, I met Walter Capps, a religious studies professor who in 1996, and actually he ran in 1994 as well, was running for Congress. When he won, he asked me if I'd be willing to take a break from teaching for a few years, like he was going to do, and join him on his staff. I think the first thing I almost said, but didn't, was, "What took you so long?" But he couldn't have known that what I meant by that thought at least was, this was the type of job I wanted to do after college. Because of my grandfather, that's the type of work I wanted to do. But I met this great guy. And we had 3 wonderful children and 7 grandchildren. So I'm living proof that if you wait long enough, the job you want will come to you. In my case, it only took 30 years. Of course, the job ended up being all about public service and problem solving. They were one and the same to me. Walter referred to it as working for the greater good. He believed you didn't have to be trapped by the politics of gridlock. You could still solve problems together. And along with Walter and Lois and the rest of the staff, there were countless opportunities to do that. But the opportunity that I will always remember is the one that Whitney mentioned. Meeting these 2 young women who came from Afghanistan to study here was something I will never forget. The fact that one of them is here today, Alker, touches me deeply. Coming from this war-torn country, I was so struck by their bravery. They left their families, they didn't know English, and the only person they knew was Professor Zulfikar. When they came to meet with Lois and Barbara Hale, who worked on this case as well, and I at the office, they brought a piece of embroidery, and it was beautiful. And that's what girls in Afghanistan were encouraged to do. These 2 wanted an education, and they came here to get it. Alker graduated in 2010, as did Farida. Alker is the beautiful mother of 3 young daughters who I'm sure she's raising to be strong and brave. Of all the problems solved, I will remember the help we were able to give to these girls. And remember, nothing in this capacity is done alone. It's all done in conjunction with others. We live in challenging times. Some problems aren't easily solved. What I tell myself and my children and others when times are tough is we will get through this. Watch for the heroes to emerge. and be one when you can. Thank you very much.
Betsy, and my apologies to the eloquent Whitney Gordon. It seems like I woke up one day and I couldn't see. It seems like it happened that fast, and I forget that I can't see. Terribly sorry. Terrible. Grace Mitchell was the third president of Cuesta College, the first woman president of Cuesta College. And she came in 1989. And the first Women of Distinction program we had, Woman of the Year program. She said, Barbara, I think we need to, I've met the women in this county, we need to expand this program. And that's how we came up with these wonderful 4 awards that we're giving today. Grace Mitchell was greatly admired in the state of California among community college leaders as one of the finest community college leaders. She is definitely a woman of achievement. To have the Grace Ann Mitchell Lifetime Achievement Award, to me, is a fabulous honor, and I couldn't be happier to know that it's going this year to Phyllis Davies. And this is for a woman with distinguished service and dedication to women in more than one of the categories and over an extended length of time throughout her professional or volunteer career. So please welcome Claire Wilson and Judelon LaSalle, who will introduce Phyllis.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words about Phyllis Davies today. When I was asked to introduce Phyllis, I requested a few friends to give me a short statement on their thoughts about the extraordinary work Phyllis has done throughout her lifetime. A number of words were used by all, and they include creative, ingenious, steadfast, determined, positive, honest, inspirational, empowering, and I would like to add generous of heart. Phyllis is a compassionate human and a vibrant activist with a continual commitment to the world and her community. She is a volunteer, a businesswoman, farmer, rancher, wife, mother, author, poet, teacher, and speaker. Her specific focus has been on the roles of women locally, nationally, and internationally, and helping them to learn to facilitate changes in their community. Her list of accomplishments are so great that I can barely touch on them today. She has nurtured a lifetime interest in exploring pathways of solving the issues of hunger, sustainable energy, environmental and health problems. She has helped women address problems with potable water, AIDS, education, orphanages, and school farms. She has worked with hospice and in trauma survival education, providing training so that people gain the skills and leadership to work together for change. The result of these efforts has always been for self-reliance rather than dependence on external aid. She is a member of Women in Black, a worldwide network of women committed to peace and who are actively opposed to injustice, war, militarism, and other forms of violence. Phyllis is also the author of 3 books: Grief, A Climb Toward Understanding, which is a compelling and healing story of turning grief into growth as she learned to live again after the death of her 2 sons. She also authored When Someone Dies, What You Can Do, and When Someone is Seriously Ill, What You Can Do. Her books have been sold at many psychology and counseling conferences, They are recommended by hospice and by the Center for Living with Dying. They are used at the National Death and Bereavement Library and by the critical incident stress debriefing teams in the United States, Canada, and many other countries. On the statewide stage, she's working on the new Parental Leave Act, which will provide job-protected paid family leave, and on the Disclose Act that will mean a greater transparency for who is paying for political advertising. Locally, she is a volunteer at the Maxine Lewis Homeless Night Shelter and with Friends of Pride, just to name a few. She has recently mentioned in Edible Slow magazine on the monthly classes she teaches on solar cooking. She actively fights for the use of sustainable energy and against the use of fossil fuels. She was active in the local efforts that succeeded in San Luis Obispo County legally rejecting the shipment of crude oil by rail, the stopping of fracking, and the ending of highway ad signage along the California Central Coast. Phyllis has been married to Bill Davies for over 52 years and is the mother to sons Derek and Dylan, who unfortunately are both deceased, a mother to Donna Davis, and grandmother to Trevin Wong. Her daughter, Donna, has said, "My mother has her ear to the heartbeat of the world." In December 27th, Phyllis wrote, "We're watching for lessons to be learned as we go forward as individuals, as a nation, and globally. It's reassuring to know that many others are concerned and continuing to work toward a kinder, more supportive, and more inclusive world. Congratulations, Phyllis, for this recognition of your lifetime in service to others."
I want to thank the Community Foundation of San Luis Obispo for honoring Phyllis with the Bryce and Mitchell Lifetime Achievement Award, and for Cuesta College for hosting this gathering, and all of you for your support and the attendance today. I'm here to introduce Phyllis Davies in an unusually candid and simple introduction, because Phyllis, for all of her work, is exceptionally humble, and generally you wouldn't know that Phyllis is involved in our community or in action or any effort unless someone who knows her close would say, yes, Phyllis is involved. So we're going to start in Alaska with her birth actually, not hers. And we're going to complete the introduction here at home with death, also not hers. These are areas that have interested Phyllis and which she has responded to since she was a young child. When she was 9 years old, living with her family in Alaska, her mother, who was a nurse, would take her with her father, who is a dentist, together go to assist with home births. When she couldn't do it, Phyllis would go. Now this is along the Alaskan coast. It's in generally many areas that would be in wilderness and completely in unusual situations, difficult to get to these homes. Phyllis was a midwife at 9 years old. Then in her 14th year, Phyllis had her own radio show where the family now lived in Bishop, California. She was given the Innovative PR Award for her creation and weekly radio show that touched on the lives of the community. Even then, she was beginning to be a social activist. She was selected by her junior class in high school as most likely to follow through. This has proved true, and she follows through with what is urgent and of the utmost importance in any moment. She is always surprising me. We had gone to Africa, I don't remember the year now, about 15 years ago, I believe, to see where Phyllis's donations had gone for an organization. She would do this, where she would help fund NGOs internationally, and then she would go on site privately and just see how the money was being spent. So we were in a community situation of a microloan lending co-op of women in Zimbabwe. And after the roster was called, Phyllis noted that there were many women who were either what is called late in a polite way. They have died. I think the microphone just died. Hello? Okay. They were late, or women who were too ill to attend. So she made note of this, and after the business of loans and repayment was complete, Phyllis stood up and said she would like to ask the group some questions. And she introduced the topic of HIV and AIDS. And she asked, what are they doing about this in this community? The room became completely silent. And you have to remember now, we're in a daub and wattle hut that can seat about 30 people on the floor. And the floor is tamped earth, and it's pretty dark in there because there's only the doorway giving light. But all of the women completely were facing Phyllis at this time, and they were completely quiet. And one of the American women said, Phyllis, this is hardly the place or time. We do not talk about this publicly. And Phyllis stood up, and she very gently and softly said, well, when is the place, and when is the good time to talk about these things? And she said, I noticed on the way in that there's an NGO, a non-governmental organization locally, that can help you all. You go there, and they will assist you in any need you have with AIDS or HIV. She gave the contact information. I had not noticed this tiny office in the town in Zimbabwe that we passed through quickly. And obviously, Phyllis did, because she had not researched this before we had gone. But noting the amount of women who were missing from the roster and the reason, she quickly stepped in. When I asked her about ages and dates of some of what she had accomplished, she politely gave me those, but laughingly said, who can remember and who would care? And I said, Phyllis, I would, and we all would. And she said, well, that's then and this is now. And what I'd like to do is talk about the green burial site that we're currently working on. Would you please mention that? And I thought, I wonder if this is the place or time. And then I remembered, yeah, with Phyllis, it's always the place or time. So she asked me to mention that she's currently working on a green burial preserve facility in coordination with the Land Conservancy. She's told me that she's working with Rosemary Wilbert. Rosemary, would you raise your hand? Because Phyllis asked if anyone is interested and would like information, would they please go to Rosemary, and she'll take their name and be in contact with them. And she's also working with Kyla with the Land Conservancy. Where are you, Kyla? There. And she asked also, please go see Kyla. If you're at all interested, she'll give you information. Well, I laughed, and I thought, of course, Phyllis is not interested ever in the proper place or time. But her conscience is. Her conscience is always proper. It's always in the right place, which is right here in her heart. She's always there for others, and she'll always speak out on what is most important. So yes, Phyllis is the most likely to succeed in life, in birth, and in death. Thank you, Phyllis.
there in Juwan. I never dreamed that I would be honored this way, and so thank you so much. And you nominated me, anyway, I want to thank the Women's Legacy Fund and Cuesta College for thinking to create this honor, because I think women need to be encouraged at every turn. And you know, I had the privilege of working with both Arlene Chandler and Grace Mitchell, and they were mentors and showed me the way in a number of times. And Betsy, we've known each other for 35 years at least, and I've considered you a hero the whole time. And then I'm really looking forward to getting to know you, Grace, and but Anita, I'm sorry. I was looking at Anita and saying Grace, I'm sorry. The award is a great honor for me. Over the years, you know, I just do what every woman does, is you just see stuff and you do it. And that's what women do all over the world. And I wish every community was doing this to encourage people to go on, although most of us don't need encouragement. I'd like to introduce my family. My husband of 52 years, he's put up with me, and that's a big order. He's patient and terribly kind. And he used to say, the world needs you, Phyllis. I don't mind staying home. I like it, actually. And you can go off with your backpack and by yourself and do the things you see need to be done. Donna, my daughter, has been today at the Slow Housing Conference moderating it and got here in time and that's why I wanted to be last. I knew she'd be here. But her accomplishments in business and in music dwarf mine. My brother West is here today, and I shouldn't get you all to stand, but he's right over there in that blue shirt. And he was a dentist here, and he had a ranch in Alturas, and that's where our son was going. And Wes has run 48, excuse me, I'm not quite right, 48 triathlons. And then this last week, he took a bunch of kids at risk up Bishop's Peak. And they said, this is the men's colony, and this is Cuesta College, and this is the men's colony. No, and this is Cal Poly. Now you have a choice. And it really makes a difference. And then I have another brother. He's my baby brother. And he couldn't be here because he's skiing across the Sierras, measuring the snow. He does that 2 to 3 weeks out of every winter month. And he's like over 70 years old. And he's written a book about that too, but anyway. Then there are so many of you here in this room who have been incredibly helpful team members. People that have literally, in some ways, at least financially, walked across the world. Think of John Swift. And my goodness, all that work you've done that I've encountered in Africa and I don't know that Indonesia, but I could certainly, across Asia, and I want to thank you for, you and Betsy are superheroes in my life. But in the years since I came here in 1959, it's been wonderful to have the teams of people that have worked with me. And I just can't name all of you, but at any rate, thank you so much for working with me on the teams as we've tried to accomplish things. As many of you know, grief and bereavement have played a major role in our lives. The deaths of our two sons, Dylan, who died in 1970 as an infant, and Derek, who died over the mountain in a mid-air plane collision in 1984. Somehow, with those boys leaving, the children of the world became mine. And helping children and adults reconnect with life has been a really important part of my life's work. I keep asking the question, how can I help this person reconnect with their life potential after their trauma and loss? And I'd like to share a useful tool with you. My mother was a pretty unusual person, and she encouraged us to have adventure at every turn in our lives, but without fear. Fear was not on the table. So, anyway, that has really profoundly affected me. But 27 years before she died, she hand wrote a letter that was tremendously helpful to me as I moved forward with my support system that had been terribly important to me, gone. And she gave us images of the things, the memories that were most important to her. So instead of looking at the loss, I was looking at what made her be the person that she is. And because of my learning disabilities, I never deeply registered, because of her, my failures. And I had a lot of them, because I couldn't read and write. And I turned too many pages. When I was after 50 years old, I found out that I heard the word dyslexia. And I had never heard that word before. And that's what made me so weird. I couldn't see words the way you guys do. And writing is really hard. But writing, which was my greatest challenge, yet it was writing that helped me come back to balance after after the loss of especially Derek. I started because I couldn't remember anything. And only Derek, it was just like, it was this light in my face. So I wrote down tiny recollections in a notebook, just a little spiral notebook, each morning. They started out being Derek, and then some of them looked at my feelings, and then suddenly I realized I was learning a lot. And they came out of little stories, vignettes, just a few words, and some of them would become poems. Then, as I began helping other grievers, it dawned on me, looking back at even particles of positive memories is really an important implement in our tool bag of life. 7 years ago, when I was discouraged and in a wheelchair and healing with time on my hands, I remembered Mother's letter. I thought, I wonder if I could write one of those. I started, and one Mary came up, and then another, and then it was like this nascent spring that was tumbling down over rocks, and then there was this panorama of memories that were really, you know, it was a really lovely group of memories. So, we all have good memories, but lots of us don't focus on them very often. And I would encourage you, if you're talking especially to elders or bereaved, ask questions that get them talking about their memories. And if possible, help them write them down. Take them a notebook, and if they're a bereaved person, put a picture there of the person that died. And get them to talk about their feelings and their memories. And you'll find that by writing things down, it gives them a looking forward attitude on life. And often creates a whole new, it captures those pictures that you can hold on to. And they're written down so they can be remembered, not only by the person or by their family. And especially as we get older, like I am, a story told often like kind of flies away. And as you leave this hall, there's a copy of my memory letter that I hope you use as an example. Now, it can be handwritten like one was, but it is a really important tool. So, I hope you'll take one. And if there isn't one out there when you get there, if you go to sunnybank.com, there is Mother's letter, except it's not handwritten anymore and it has her picture on it. And an older one of mine, but you get the one that I finished last night. And I want to thank you for being here and for honoring International Women's Day. This isn't just Women's Day and Women's History Day in the United States, but it's an international thing. And you know, we live in a community that is a world. We don't just live in San Luis Obispo. I mean, we're really lucky to live here. But, and you know, where do you go? You say San Luis Obispo, and people go, oh my God. So you've honored the four of us. And in a way, you've honored all women and men, really, because each person here has played a role in their community as healers and leaders, even within your own family and certainly across the world, our home. Thank you.
Thank you all. Hasn't it been a pleasure to honor four phenomenal women? Grace McIntosh, Anita, Betsy, Umhofer, and as Anita says, there is still so much to do. So I'll see you Saturday at the March for Our Lives.